today's lesson in corporate doublespeak. Click the links to join channel, become a member here, over subscribe. I got a mailbox. You can mail me a cool comic or a Christmas beanie, preferably, I don't know, red and green with a little poof ball on top. And I absolutely promise you that I will wear a Christmas beanie because I wear Christmas socks with Birkenstocks and shorts, and it's 30 degrees out all the time. So Christmas Disney corporate speak, this guy uses 10 paragraphs in his SEC filing to say, essentially, the movies we're making, the customer is not paying money for. It really is just that simple, but he uses a lot of sentences to say just that. Okay, so there's 2 introductory paragraphs to say who he is, and then they get to this. And you could flesh it out from there. You could say, we're making movies that don't sell because the themes in the movies do not interest the audience enough to either go to the theater and pay $20 or to pay, whatever it costs for Disney Plus per month. It's really not that, it's not more complicated than that. You're trying to sell something, you're trying to get paid for it. Except he uses several paragraphs to talk very delicately around the issue. And you also get the feeling that he doesn't care and nobody at Disney cares. Or they have a different motivation, which is weird because you think, it's a publicly traded company. It should be pretty simple, right? They're selling product. It's like you're trying to think of you selling product and then scale it up to the $1 billion level, and it doesn't. They're too far removed from if it succeeds, they benefit, yes, but if it fails, they don't get hurt like we would get hurt. Because if we're trying a small business and we have to have our small stuff succeed, because when we're getting hurt from it, we just don't have that kind of money where we have to have a product that sells. We can't explore this kind of woke messaging if it's not returning on our investment. So the older Disney movies that had different themes did sell. Then we changed those themes, and now the audience isn't buying them. But they never say things as simply as I just said them, or you would just say them. They do this long, convoluted discussion in their SEC filings because they're telling the shareholders, we're going in a direction that is not making money, and we're going to continue to go in that direction. And the shareholders are going, well, why the hell do we still own these shares? Probably because, I don't know, maybe you bought them at one price, and the price now, the share value now, is much less than what you bought them at. Or I don't know if Disney pays dividends or it's still a growth company or what, but it's not what it used to be. So this is where you'd stop. And assuming a lot. I'm assuming you want the company to go forward and be profitable again and grow the audience and make a product that connects to the audience. But that's assuming something that's not their business model because it's a religion. They worship the dark gods. So this is where you'd logically examine the old movies versus the new movies, or even some of the new movies. I think Frozen did over $1 billion that connected with an audience, and you go, okay, market saturation and inflation will adjust for that, and we'll go, these are the successful movies, and we'll have a spectrum of successful movies to non-successful movies. And then there's a line in there, profit versus loss, where movies actually lose money, where they break even, and when they're successful, and then when they're massive mega hits. You just look at that and you just study that, and you'd be able to turn the company around very quickly. But nobody's doing that for some wacky reason. You just go, what exactly changed? What objective standards can you refer to? I mean, you could sit down with somebody like me or almost any normie, and they could look at these movies, and if they're honest, they go, yeah, a lot of the diversity stuff, the BLT stuff is not selling. Like if you're just being brutally honest with it, and you didn't fear any, consequences for it. But nobody at Disney's being brutally honest with these kind of people. So corporate, for some reason, this corporate parasite never gets to that point because it's a religion to them. They worship Moloch at the anti-white altar. Corporate doublespeak is an absolute joy to listen to. Literally, this is 10 paragraphs in a shareholders report to say we're making movies that for some reason are not selling like they used to. Now here's my theory of why they're not selling, but he never gets to that part, which is the critical part of the discussion. Now this sounds absolutely insane to you and me. If we're working together to sell, say we're selling a comic like in Comicsgate, we're just not insulated by personal wealth or by corporate wealth. We need to sell our comics and make a profit so we can sell the next comic. So we don't BS each other. If we hired some fruitcake, woke, SJW, anti-white writer, and suddenly sales drop like Fat Man on Nagasaki, then we can probably make the correlation that radiation leads to tentacle anime prawn, which leads to Eichenwald jerking at the cartoons and having seizures, and then his family walks in and catches them, and he has to make some bizarre excuse. So what we do is we go, okay, we hired this woke writer, and it's not selling, so we just fire the woke writer, put him in a different position or something, and hire a right-wing writer and see if that changes things. You got to experiment. But Disney never gets to that stage. This guy goes on for 10 paragraphs to say the audience isn't buying our product and that they're learning to associate Disney with woke, anti-white, globalist cancer. I mean, he uses different words. He says Disney has different social goals than the audience and is harming Disney's reputation, which begs the question, if you're making movies that are losing money because of your woke messaging, then why don't you stop with that cancer and make entertainment like you used to? Because what they're describing makes Disney sound like it's some sort of religion. He also says that Disney ignores the consumer backlash over woke films that you can see on social media, when it would really help if you kind of paid attention to the consumer, what the consumers are saying, and take note of them. You want to take note of what the consumer says when it relates to money. You want to focus on what the consumer pays for, not what they say they want and not what they say they don't want. Where's the correlation between what movies make money and lose money and what the consumer's saying, not what they say they want? Because they say things, but you have to look at what they actually pay for. And it seems like there's a lot of left-wing Twitter that says they want these woke movies, but then they just don't go to the theaters and pay for them, as you saw with Wish, or Elementals was the Marvel movie. And then wasn't there... No, Eternals. Eternals was the Marvel thing. Elementals was like about kids who were BLT or something bizarre like that. So, I mean, honestly, like, you could sit down with Disney and go, yeah, diversity and BLT, the BLT themes, you know, with that kind of stuff. Those two things, like, if you just cut those two things out and made the movies like they used to be, I suspect that you'd have some hits on your hands. Like, people just want to see, I almost said normal. Want to see men and women, family, national, tribal type of stories of people who look like them. Oh, how do I explain this next part carefully? I guess I can't. You look at Wish, right? Wish, the movie that just came out that I watched. Horrible. Didn't find an audience. So imagine this. I imagine I'm like talking to the 24 Disney people. Imagine this. We take Wish, this little girl in this fictional Mediterranean castle type of universe, and we swap her out. And I have the image in front of me, and I just like have it on a computer, and I just start lightening her skin, and then lightening her hair. And let's just lighten her hair down to, it takes it through the shades from dark to, mixed brownish to dirty blonde to platinum white, and then it's braided, I think, or something like that. Yeah, let's just straighten it out a little bit. And let's just lighten her skin tone a little bit. And let's bring up her eye color a little bit. So she's platinum blonde hair, brilliant blue eyes. Now I think we have a movie that might connect with an audience. And then I look at the bad guy. There's the antagonist, the Wizard King, played by Chris Pine, I think. Let's just have the image in front of the 24 people, their looks of shock and horror on their face. Some of them are probably literally shaking. And let's just darken him a little bit, change his features a little bit, change those blue-gray eyes. They get darker and darker and darker. And then that would be the meme of them throwing me out the window. Unless I was the boss. God, that would be freaking hysterical. Anyway, where's it going with that? So he makes some kind of weird point that the woke parasitical executives are deliberately making these bombing movies because somehow it gives them Larry Fink social credit that advances their careers somehow. But I don't see how that works, because it's not logical until you start to look at State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock, and all those other kind of institutional investors and Fink. And then you have to look at those big companies and ask, why does this seem like a religion to them? What's really going on? And they never get to that point. It's weird that nobody in the mainstream media ever asks anything critical. It's sort of makes me wonder, because it feels like there's this big secret just under the public consciousness that nobody talks about. Like everyone is under some sort of weird spell and can't awaken. It's like when they talk about, fantasy books, the glamour, that someone casts the glamour over their eyes and everyone's just kind of under this weird spell. It's like in Doctor Who. I just saw that yesterday, where all the Englishmen And in Doctor Who is all super mixed. Everyone is mixed, except for the bad guys. They all look like me, and it's the Meep cast a glamour over their eyes, and it made them have these glowing blue eyes, and they're all the bad guys were actually fair skinned with these glowing blue eyes. I guess it's just a coincidence. It was kind of weird. It's kind of funny. The Meep was this rodent looking character that was pure white, and then kind of had like pinkish, rodent looking character. Kind of interesting. Almost a little bit of. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys all next episode.